Long ago, in a beautiful land nestled in the majestic Himalayas, a prince was born. This land, with its towering peaks and serene valleys, was a place of great natural beauty and spiritual significance. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, a name that would one day resonate across the world. He was born into a royal family in the kingdom of Kapilavastu, a prosperous and influential realm in ancient India. The kingdom was known for its wealth, culture, and the wisdom of its rulers. His father was King Suddhodana, a powerful and wealthy ruler who was respected and admired by his subjects. King Suddhodana was a man of great ambition and vision, always striving to expand and strengthen his kingdom. His mother, Queen Maya, was known for her kindness and grace. She was a beacon of compassion and love, and her gentle nature endeared her to everyone in the kingdom. Queen Maya's presence brought a sense of peace and harmony to the royal household. Siddhartha's birth was a joyous occasion, celebrated with great pomp and splendor. The entire kingdom rejoiced, and festivities were held for days. Musicians played, dancers performed, and the people of Kapilavastu celebrated the arrival of their future king. Prophecies foretold that he would grow up to be either a great king or a great spiritual leader. The royal astrologers and priests, after studying the stars and performing sacred rituals, predicted that Siddhartha's destiny would be extraordinary. His parents, hoping for a powerful ruler to succeed the throne, showered him with love and luxury. They provided him with the finest clothes, the best education, and all the comforts of royal life. They wanted to ensure that he would be well prepared to lead the kingdom. They wanted to shield him from the harsh realities of the world. The palace gates were always guarded, and Siddhartha was kept within the confines of the royal grounds, away from any suffering or hardship. From a young age, Siddhartha excelled in his studies. He was taught by the best scholars and teachers in the kingdom, and he quickly mastered subjects like literature, science, and philosophy. His intellect was sharp, and he had a natural curiosity about the world. He mastered the martial arts and displayed a sharp intellect. Under the guidance of skilled mentors, Siddhartha became proficient in archery, swordsmanship, and other forms of combat. His physical prowess was matched by his strategic thinking and leadership skills. He was a compassionate and thoughtful child. Even as a young boy, Siddhartha showed a deep empathy for others. He would often help those in need, and his kindness touched the hearts of everyone he met. The prince seemed destined for a life of power and privilege. Surrounded by luxury and adoration, Siddhartha's future appeared to be set on a path of greatness within the royal court. Little did anyone know a different path awaited him. Despite the opulence and grandeur of his upbringing, Siddhartha would soon embark on a journey that would change the course of his life and the lives of countless others. His destiny was not to be confined within the walls of the palace, but to seek a deeper understanding of the world and the human condition. As he grew older, Siddhartha began to venture beyond the palace walls. He witnessed the suffering of the people, the poverty, illness, and death that were a part of everyday life. These experiences deeply affected him and stirred a sense of compassion and a desire to find a solution to human suffering. Siddhartha spent long hours in contemplation and meditation, seeking answers to the profound questions that troubled him. He realized that true wisdom and enlightenment could not be found in material wealth or power, but in understanding the nature of existence and the path to inner peace. One night, Siddhartha made a momentous decision. He left the palace, renouncing his royal life and all its luxuries. He embarked on a journey as a wandering ascetic, determined to discover the truth and find a way to end suffering. During his journey, Siddhartha met many spiritual teachers and sages. He learned various philosophies and practices, but none provided the answers he sought. His quest for enlightenment continued, driven by an unwavering commitment to his goal. Finally, after years of searching, Siddhartha sat in deep meditation under the Bodhi tree. It was here that he attained enlightenment and became the Buddha, the awakened one. His teachings would go on to inspire millions and bring a message of peace, compassion, and wisdom to the world. Siddhartha Gautama's journey from a prince to the Buddha is a testament to the power of inner transformation and the pursuit of truth. His life and teachings continue to guide and inspire people on their own paths to enlightenment. Siddhartha grew up within the palace walls. He lived a life of comfort and ease. Beautiful gardens surrounded him. He had access to the finest clothes, food, and entertainment. The king and queen ensured that Siddhartha would never want for anything. He married a beautiful princess named Yasodhara. They had a son, Rahula, bringing further joy to the palace. Life seemed perfect. Yet beneath the surface, a sense of unease began to stir within Siddhartha. The prince had a questioning mind. He yearned for a deeper understanding of life and its true meaning. The pleasures of the palace, while alluring, couldn't satisfy this longing. He began to sense that true happiness lay beyond the confines of his gilded cage. Siddhartha's sheltered life couldn't hide the realities of the world forever. Born into the lap of luxury, he was surrounded by opulence and comfort. His father, King Suddhodana, ensured that Siddhartha was shielded from any form of suffering or hardship. The young prince was provided with the finest clothes, the most delicious food, and the most exquisite entertainment. Yet, despite all these material pleasures, there was a restlessness within him, a curiosity about the world beyond the palace walls. He ventured outside the palace walls on several occasions. Each time he was accompanied by his loyal charioteer, Channa. These excursions were meant to be brief and controlled, but they opened Siddhartha's eyes to a reality he had never known. The bustling streets, the vibrant markets, and the simple lives of the common people fascinated him. He saw children playing, merchants haggling, and families going about their daily routines. But amidst this lively scene, he also noticed something else: suffering. These trips exposed him to the suffering that existed beyond his luxurious bubble. He saw people struggling to make ends meet, working tirelessly under the scorching sun. He saw the pain in their eyes, the weariness in their steps. It was a stark contrast to the ease and comfort of his own life. The disparity troubled him deeply, planting the first seeds of dissatisfaction in his heart. One day he encountered an old man, his body ravaged by time. The man's skin was wrinkled, his hair grey, and his movements slow and labored. Siddhartha had never seen such a sight before. He asked Channa about the man, and Channa explained that aging was a natural part of life, something that everyone would eventually experience. This revelation was a shock to Siddhartha, who had always been surrounded by youth and vitality. Another day he saw a sick person, racked with pain and illness. The sight of the suffering individual, bedridden and in agony, was heart-wrenching. Siddhartha learned from Channa that sickness was another inevitable part of life, affecting everyone at some point. The realization that health was not permanent, that it could be taken away by disease, added to his growing sense of unease. A funeral procession revealed the reality of death. The mourners, dressed in traditional attire, walked solemnly, carrying the body of the deceased. The air was thick with grief and sorrow. Siddhartha watched as the procession passed by, and he felt a deep sadness. Channa explained that death was the final destination for all living beings, an inescapable end. This encounter with mortality was perhaps the most profound of all, leaving a lasting impression on the young prince. These encounters shook him to his core. The realities of aging, sickness, and death were inescapable truths that everyone had to face. Siddhartha's sheltered existence had kept him ignorant of these harsh realities, but now that he had seen them, he could not turn away. The suffering he witnessed weighed heavily on his mind, and he began to question the meaning of life and the nature of existence. These foresights, as they came to be known, ignited a fire in Siddhartha's heart. He realized that the pleasures and comforts of palace life were fleeting and superficial. They could not shield him from the inevitable suffering that awaited everyone. This newfound awareness sparked a desire within him to seek a deeper understanding of life, to find a way to overcome the suffering that seemed to pervade the human condition. He realized the impermanence of life, the changing seasons, the blooming and wilting of flowers, the cycle of birth and death. All these natural phenomena mirrored the transient nature of human existence. Siddhartha understood that everything in life was subject to change, that nothing remained constant. This realization was both humbling and enlightening, as it underscored the futility of clinging to material possessions and temporary pleasures. He saw that suffering was a universal experience. It was not limited to the poor or the sick. It touched everyone, regardless of their status or wealth. The joy and sorrow, the love and loss, the happiness and pain, these were all part of the human experience. Siddhartha's empathy for his fellow beings grew, and he felt a deep compassion for their suffering. He knew that he could not remain indifferent to their plight. This realization filled him with a profound sense of urgency to find a way out of the cycle of suffering. He was determined to seek the truth, to understand the root cause of suffering, and to discover a path to liberation. Siddhartha's journey was just beginning, but the seeds of dissatisfaction had already taken root, setting him on a path that would ultimately lead to enlightenment and the founding of a new spiritual tradition. The foresights were not mere encounters for Siddhartha. They were profound awakenings. The sight of old age shattered his illusion of eternal youth. Witnessing sickness demolished his belief in permanent health. Death, the most stark reality, revealed the fragility of life. It made him question the purpose of his own existence. What was the point of all the luxury and pleasure if it all ended in decay and death? The final encounter with an ascetic who had renounced worldly pleasures offered a glimmer of hope. The ascetic's demeanor, calm and serene, hinted at a path beyond suffering. This encounter planted a seed in Siddhartha's heart, a seed that would soon blossom into a quest for truth. The foresights transformed Siddhartha. He saw an old man, a sick man, a dead man, and a holy man. These sights opened his eyes to the harsh realities of life that he had been shielded from within the palace walls. He could no longer ignore the suffering of the world. The pain and sorrow etched on the faces of the people he encountered haunted him. He realized that suffering was an inescapable part of human existence, nor could he pretend to be content with a life of luxury while others suffered. The opulence of the palace, the feasts, and the treasures now seemed hollow and meaningless. He felt a deep sense of discontent and restlessness. He knew he had to find a way to break free from the cycle of pain and rebirth. The teachings of the holy man he had seen inspired him to seek a higher truth, a path to enlightenment that could liberate all beings from suffering. One night he resolved to leave the palace. The decision was not easy, but his determination to find answers to life's profound questions gave him the strength to act. He left behind his wife, his newborn son, and his royal life. The bonds of love and duty tugged at his heart, but his quest for truth and the desire to alleviate suffering were stronger. This event, known as the Great Departure, marked the beginning of Siddhartha's spiritual quest. It was a journey into the unknown, filled with uncertainty and challenges, but also with hope and purpose. He traded his princely robes for the simple clothes of an ascetic. This symbolic act represented his renunciation of worldly pleasures and his commitment to a life of spiritual discipline. He exchanged a life of luxury for one of poverty and hardship. He wandered from place to place, begging for food and seeking wisdom from various teachers and ascetics. Siddhartha was determined to find the root of human suffering and a way to overcome it. His journey had begun. He meditated deeply, practiced severe austerities, and explored different paths to enlightenment. Despite the physical and mental challenges, his resolve never wavered. He believed that through perseverance and insight, he could discover the ultimate truth and bring an end to the cycle of suffering for all beings.